7 indisputable action areas that can dramatically increase your business profits. Session 4. Developing robust systems across all areas of your business. The aim of this session is to start to look at systems. Great businesses always rely on great systems underpinning them. So we're going to look at your crucial first stages in creating dynamic, productive and meaningful systems. Almost every business guru that's existed in the last 20 years has talked about systems. Michael Gerber from the E-Myth suggested that organize around business functions, not people. Build systems within each business function and let systems run the business and people run the systems. People come and go, but the systems should remain constant. And in fact, the systems can indeed help the people working in your business. But why should we have systems? Well, really 3 things shout from the rooftops. First of all, you've got consistency in action. If you're doing something well, then you want to be able to do it consistently and mirror it time and time again. Secondly, we need to have meaningful measurements of business activities that contribute to the business overall. And of course, we can do this with systems. So if you have a system that isn't working, we know that it's the system that's not working. We've measured it. And then we can put a different system in place so we can then, again, go back to consistently do things as well as we can. And thirdly, of course, because we've got the consistency, because we've got written systems, it makes an awesome training and development tool for accelerated team productivity, from moving someone from a new employee to a maximum productive employee. So the impact of great systems is threefold. First of all, you know with certainty the impact of each system is on core business functions. Secondly, you know what the priorities are for revision and which systems to mirror rather than doing things on a whim that we often see in businesses. And thirdly, you know what and how to train your team, or maybe even clients, of course. That threefold impact is hugely powerful. I'm sure you can see that for yourself. And finally, of course, what we've got is we've got something that we're able to benchmark and so assess the impact of any new systems that we put in place. So let's start by looking at the 5 core business functions very quickly. Of course, these are business development, which includes system development, team employment and development, marketing, sales, and of course, financial management. This is our start point, so we identify the core business function. Secondly, we look at activities within those functions. So if we look at our systems 4-step system, then we break down those business functions into broad activities. Secondly, we break down those activities or even sub-activities into individual systems. So create a map of how our business looks, business functions down to activities and sub-activities. And then we start to develop our systems. And within each system, the following 4 things should be components. First of all, a system aim. Secondly, measurable criteria that contribute to that aim being met. Thirdly, the actual system itself, what you're measuring. And fourthly, of course, the resources, including people responsibilities, to make that system happen. And finally, our 4th step is systems review, or closing the circle. There are 2 components to this. First of all, we need a method and a date to measure. And when we do this, we're looking at 2 things. The first and of primary importance is how well we actually use the system. Is the system clear to our team and did they follow through on it? Quite often, if we have a system that isn't being followed, it's not necessarily the fault of the team, but rather the system hasn't that clarity. And unfortunately, we can't measure how well the system worked unless people are using the system. And that's why this is the secondary stage in measuring how well a system worked. And of course, if our review subsequently finds that the system didn't work well, then of course we need to close the circle fully by doing a system revision and starting again. So you follow these 4 steps to develop your system and you'll have a far, far better chance of achieving that threefold impact that we talked about earlier. So let's give you an example. So let's say our sales function, we've split into 2 sub-functions, which are products and services. We're going to focus on a product, which of course we break down into business activities and sub-activities. So our activity may be one of the products we may sell, may be a workshop. And in delivering that activity, there are 3 different sub-activities. That of course development, course enrollment, and of course course delivery. Let's focus on course delivery and look at breaking these down further into systems that we can develop. So within course delivery, there are potentially 4 things we can have a look at: the environment, equipment, materials, and evaluation of the session. So for each of these we can write a system. So we write a system on how we hire venues. We write a system to how we set up a room. Write systems on how we use equipment and hire it and where we get it from and how much we should spend. Write systems about how we do our final check of equipment and so on and so forth. And then we have a series of systems that we can use to train, we can deliver to make sure things happen consistently, and of course, ultimately see if they work to contribute back up to effective course delivery, to effective product sales, and ultimately the business function of sales as a whole. So that's the process we will go through. And of course, in the previous slide, we showed what these systems should comprise. So you've got the information you need to start. And then, of course, we've got to follow through on following the systems and measuring their success. So in terms of action areas, try this out. Try going through that example that I used, but with one of your business functions or sub-functions. Identify an activity or sub-activity for which you have no written systems in place. Write your system following the 4 steps outlined in the session. And of course, perhaps list 5 other systems you feel are crucial to develop over the next 3 months, which are going to contribute best to those overall business functions that are at the heart of you having a successful, profitable business. We'll see you in the next session.